am going to touch on a lot of things in this video. It's going to be really potent. It's going to be really activating. If I mention anything that you guys have any questions about, just ask me in the comments and I'll make a video about it. So to me, God is the source of all existence. God's the spark of all existence, the seed of existence. And so if God is the seed, then wouldn't God also be the whole entire tree? God is the spark of existence. God is the creator and creation. God is everything in the entire universe. So we are all God experiencing itself. Also, on a fundamental level, I believe that God is pure consciousness. And I believe that consciousness is the basis of existence. This is a concept called monism. Consciousness is the basis of existence. For the religious people who might think this is a bit blasphemous, I consider myself a monotheist because I believe in one God. I just feel as though maybe I have a deeper and maybe higher perspective of what it means to believe in one God. At the highest and purest level that we can experience, God is unity consciousness. So unity consciousness is the realm of consciousness that we should all strive to exist in if our intention is to reach enlightenment or Christ consciousness. That's unity consciousness. And it's also the highest vibration. You know, they say that love is the highest vibration, but then they also say, or self-love is the highest vibration. I recently heard actually that authenticity, like authentic self-expression is the highest frequency. And I believe that those are all one and the same. I feel like true self-love is not just loving this physical vessel that I'm in, loving myself, it's loving myself as an embodiment of God and loving all of God, all of creation, everything in existence. It's realizing that I am you, you are me, we are all one, we are all God experiencing itself and reflections of each other. So to me, that's what it means to truly be pure and holy, is embodying that unity consciousness. I see myself as a wave in the ocean of consciousness. So if I'm a wave in the ocean, I'm the entire ocean. The ocean is fluid, it's all connected. So I have power and autonomy over my own being. When I tap into that knowing and remembrance that I am God experiencing itself, I am just embodying a unique expression and aspect of God. I'm embodying the truth that the entire universe is one. So that embodiment, that unity consciousness, brings us to a space of true self-love. And from that space, it inspires us to be a clear channel and vessel for God, which inspires us to act with the power of God. You know how like in every holy book, it says something along the lines of, you know, God blew his spirit into us. God put his spirit in us. So just like God, in my own way, I have full power and autonomy over myself. And embodying that power is the highest form of devotion in my world. Because I strive to embody unity consciousness, it's less of a striving, more of just like being, more of just an intention set and just embodying that frequency, just dwelling in that energy. Because I meditate, I get to know myself really well, I do inner work, I do, things of the sort. I would say that I am a very clear channel for God. So just like this morning, like when I sat down to journal, I literally channeled 11 pages straight. And I was like, this is so perfect. It started off as just a journal entry, and then the more I kept going, I was like, oh, this is a video. This has to be a video. God was like, this has to be a video. So I was like, okay, I could have done whatever with that. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I have received millions of downloads, and many of them I was told to film a video, and I did not. But you know, the present is what matters, and I feel like, you know, taking that action and embodying that power to not just channel but act in the world as a vessel for God, using the power of God, is literally the highest form of devotion to God. Because being in alignment with God means progressing God's agenda. So that's why I'm doing this, because I want to activate and inspire. A lot of people think that thinking that you are God, or, you know, nearly as powerful as God, is, you know, egoic or narcissistic or whatever the case is. The thing is, it actually requires a deep level of devotion, discipline, obedience, and humility to recognize that you are God. It's a huge responsibility. It means taking full autonomy and power over your life and what you're able to do in this world. If you are acting as like God ordained everything and everything is how it is and everything only happens in divine timing, and you know, it's just gonna happen when it happens and I just need to wait and I just need to, or like having a victim mindset or whatever the case is, actually dishonors the fact that God gave you his spirit, and the fact that we are so, as human beings, so incredibly autonomous. We literally have the ability to create life. So as an omnist, I respect all religions. However, I do see how it can be really limiting to put God on a plane of existence that's like way above you and like so unattainable. Or, you know, to put yourself in this kind of like beggars, like I'm completely at your mercy type of energy. Of course we're at God's mercy, like, you know, anything can happen at any time, of course, but you have to understand your role in it. It's all a co-creation. It's all God experiencing itself, and everything is happening for a divine reason. But you are part of not just the divine reason, you are a part of the causation of that reason. And you know, a lot of it is happening subconsciously, because it's not just what we physically do, but it's our frequency and vibration that creates our reality, because everything happens, like everything is energy and everything is happening in the spiritual plane first. And you know, it's like we truly don't ascend the most collectively by treating devotion as this like one size fits all, you have to pray this way and do this and do that type of way. It's really when we embody the fact that devotion is very unique and personal, and that, you know, our spirit was created with the intention of carrying out a very unique assignment, and it's very needed. And you know, nothing happens on accident. Like, your spirit was created for a very intentional reasons, so many reasons, honestly, beyond our comprehension. Genuinely, like, the more I deepen into the weight and potency of my assignment, the more gratitude and humility I have. And it's this like deep sense of responsibility that feels like such an honor. And I feel like more of us really need to embody how much of an honor it is to be a channel for God, to be a vessel for God. So we need to get to know our spirit, because that is our unique expression of God. And, you know, that's how we'll really know how we're here to serve. That's how I embody my purpose. The concept that I love, which stems from Catholicism, is that our purpose is to know God, love God, and serve God. And so the primary way for us to do that is through knowing, loving, and serving ourselves. And by ourselves, I mean our spirit first. I feel self-nourishment is the most important thing, because, you know, the more we nourish ourselves, the more we strengthen our vessel, the more we're able to be a clear channel for God, and not just to like have downloads and meditate and whatnot, but to really like act with the power of God. So there's many ways to embody this power, and I have a framework which is the foundation of my entire work. This is my 4-step process. I'm a life path 4, so everything I do is in 4s, and it just feels very complete. So phase 1 is expansion. Expansion is prayer. Expansion is connecting with God, receiving divine wisdom, meditating, like however you do that. You know, it could be a conversation with a reflection. Like, it's expansion is up here. It's your crown chakra. It's what you receive, and you know, it's like opening up your minds to possibilities and new ideas. That's expansion. And then phase 2 is embodiment. So that's really grounding these downloads, you know, the essence of what you receive into your body and your experience. So embodiment is embodying God's essence through embodying your spirit. My spirit is divinity. My human self, I'm Asada. I feel like when you name something, or when you receive a name for something, it really helps you to get to know that thing. So divinity is my spirit, my highest self. Over time, getting to know divinity through some of my favorite methods besides meditation is channeling through writing. I can channel and write like nobody's business. Like, I write a lot, and I write in full calligraphy when I write. It's very intense, especially when I'm channeling. Sometimes my handwriting changes because I'm channeling different aspects of my being. Being with yourself, really paying attention to what resonates with your frequency is really important, and that's how you get in a state of embodiment. So the more you get to know your spirit, you want to really embody her. The more I do things that feel like divinity, the more embodied I feel. So like, I feel really embodied in this video because I'm dressed like divinity. I had the perfect morning routine that divinity wants me to have. The people that I surround myself with, they're all like my soul family. And so those are the types of things, like the embodied decisions that I make. We've got expansion and embodiment. So then phase 3 is engineering. So engineering to me is curating systems, routines, frameworks, and you know, standards, boundaries, you know, all of those things, like all of the masculine energy, like the rails. That is engineering. Engineering is like curating the experience that allows you to execute from your divine embodiment. So that's engineering. And then stage 4 is execution. So that is all of the aligned actions that you take. That is you embodying the power of God through your actions. So in my work, like when I'm working with my clients and in my frameworks and everything, phase 1, expansion, is where we get really clear. I'm like very big on clarity. So we get very clear on our highest embodiment and what that looks like. So we do that by channeling our signature frequency, which is pretty much a sentence that encapsulates your divine essence, your spirit. And there's a whole process that stems from that, but that's the first step in the expansion aspect. So embodiment is where we actually do the work of consecrating ourselves in that frequency. We're experiencing it in our being and the way that we show up. And then engineering, we create all the life systems, all the things that we need to maintain our embodiment. And then execution becomes really easy. It's all the aligned actions that we take, honestly, thanks to the first 3 steps, because, you know, we've made it crystal clear, super easy, and embodied. It feels natural. So when we do it in this order, it makes it really, really easy to act from and create from our divinity. We established love, self-love, unity consciousness. That's the highest frequency, right? Obviously, like, you know, we're all one, but like in a practical, tangible sense, like, you know, I'm Asada, and then these are flowers. On the highest plane of existence, me and this flower are one. In this plane of existence that I'm experiencing right now, I am Asada experiencing these flowers. We need the law of duality in order to experience each other at least on this plane of existence. So instead of me just being everything everywhere all at once, I get to be Asada, experiencing this flower. It really is a beautiful thing, because the law of duality allows us to, have appreciation, curiosity. Duality, in a sense, is an illusion, but I feel as though illusions are just planes of existence. They're just different dimensions. Because I could say that separation is an illusion, but realistically, I'm Asada and this is my cup of tea. The law of duality just exists on a plane, on a paradigm, and once you are aware of higher frequencies, higher realms and paradigms, you can ascend and descend and integrate what you've learned, and it can make you a better human in this experience. That's how we raise the frequency of the planet and ascend in consciousness and ascend into unity consciousness, which essentially is heaven. I believe that heaven is a plane of existence. It's a place. It's also a plane of existence. It's also a state of being. I feel all of these things are one and the same in a sense. Of course, we're all expressions of God, right? But what about worship? So the way I see it, there are many different expressions, embodiments, or aspects of God, right? So there's Allah, there's Jesus, there's the Holy Spirit, there's the divine masculine or divine father, the divine feminine, the divine mother, and many more. And so as an omnist, like I said, I respect all of these religions and embodiments, manifestations of God. I'm gonna share what feels most true and holistic to me. So this is the Ankh. This is my Holy Trinity. The Ankh is so powerful because it embodies the divine mother, the divine father, and the divine child, which is a very holistic representation of how we experience life and creation, right? Essentially, of course, gender is very fluid, but there's, 3 types of human beings. There's men, women, and children. So ultimately, there's one God. The divine masculine and the divine feminine are one and the same, on the highest plane of existence. The highest truth is that the divine masculine and feminine are one and the same. However, when we bring in the law of duality, we have the yin and the yang, which really complete the whole. And then when you bring in the divine child, it really completes the Trinity for me. How I show up in my relationship with God, I show up as the divine feminine, because I am, of course, the divine feminine embodied, right? So I show up as the divine feminine, and I show up in union and co-creation with the divine masculine. So, when I pray, I usually pray to the divine masculine, and we are in, and it's from a place of co-creation. It's from a place of God needs me to be a vessel to do the work here. That's why he created my spirit, incarnated me at this time. Everything about my existence, I feel, is very intentional. I embody the divine feminine, and I also integrate the divine masculine and the divine child and allow them to flow through me. So it's important to define how you show up in your relationship with God in a very empowering way, because that's the first step to decolonizing our minds and fully integrating our divinity. And this is super, super essential, because that is how we win in the battle against all of these false gods. I can get into that more in another video, but the way I see it, there's God. We are God embodied. There are, obviously, we know the law of duality, there's, Satan, demons, all that stuff. We don't even need to get into that too much. But essentially, how I see it, their agenda is to get us to worship them. There's so many idols and false gods that we worship on a daily basis, so unconsciously. And, they have our unconscious agreement. And it's actually really detrimental to us, because their agenda is our destruction, and their agenda is making us forget our divinity so that we can submit to them and their stupid ass policies and their stupid ass way that they want to destroy the world. I don't even have to get into it, because you guys know the amount of chaos and destruction that is going on right now. And the only way for us to make an impact and heal the planet is to truly embody our divinity and truly embody the power of God that exists within us. Because we're all one, they cannot have this level of control over an entire planet, 7 billion people. They cannot have that level of control without our agreement, without our unconscious agreement, because we have a collective mind. The collective mind has been severely colonized, and that's why it's really important, this work that I'm doing, this work that I really, really, really want us to do and take so seriously, is decolonizing the mind and decolonizing the body, because the mind and the body is where we channel spirit. And when the mind and the body has been so colonized and calcified and constrained, it makes it so much harder for us to channel our divinity. And then when we have these subconscious ideas that we are separate from God, that we are just at the mercy of the world and whatever happens, and it's just not good. It's just not good. Their agenda is to make us abandon and forget our divinity. To think you're worshiping God and then you're living in a state of scarcity consciousness, living in a state of fear, and just allowing yourself to be so heavily controlled and subscribing to these systems and this way of living that literally doesn't make any sense and is not truly in alignment with your spirit. You don't have to do that. We're all just going along with it. Once we stop going along with it, we can shift the collective paradigm. The collective mind is so powerful because everything starts in the mind. Like, everything is energy. And the mind is one of those deeper planes of existence. The way I see it, this is the ocean of consciousness. At the top of the ocean, this is like doing and acting, and then here's like thinking, and then here's feeling, and here's being. That's why they do so many things to manipulate our way of feeling and our way of being. They can manipulate our state of being. They can manipulate our embodiment, which changes how we're able to, channel and embody the divine, and how we're able to act in our power. So that's why embodying our divinity is an essential piece of our collective assignment. We have to serve God holistically, which is serving ourselves, serving each other. We have to serve God through healing and restoring harmony on the planet. And that's what the divine feminine does. That's why I choose to embody the divine feminine, because the world needs deep healing right now. The world genuinely needs the divine feminine. A lot of the, destruction that's going on is a result of the mistreatment and neglect and disrespect of the divine feminine. And, it's a product of the patriarchy, which is one of those false gods that I was talking about. Literally, the patriarchy has colonized our entire way of being. If you want to keep allowing that, and you want your daughter to be, a victim of the patriarchy in her literal state of being, and to not allow her spirit to be genuinely expressed the way God intended it to be, then okay, keep acting unconsciously and keep, aligning and following the patriarchy and follow the program. If you want divine embodiment, if you want the best for yourself and the future generations, becoming an empowered woman and embodying your divine feminine, becoming an empowered man, embodying your divine masculine, integrating both. The embodiment and the integration piece is very essential, because that's how we have inner divine union, which leads to, having more harmonious relationships. A lot of our relationships are toxic because we are not in union and harmony with the divine masculine and feminine energies within. Everything is as within, so without. Now that you understand the weight of this work, you can kind of get a better idea of why those gremlins and demons try so hard to keep us out of alignment and keep us from embodying our divinity, because it's literally the missing piece to everything. It's so essential. And it's also how we truly glorify God. So, I'm reminding you. I'm here to remind you to embody your divinity. Embodying your divinity is the greatest act of devotion, and it's also the greatest act of resistance.